Hi, Jewish mom. I've been making these pep talks for a really, really long time. I think for about 10 years of making pep talks. And every Sunday sitting down and making a pep talk. And the amazing thing is that every single week I feel like, wow, like I feel like now I finally figured it out. And how did I ever survive all of my 20 years of being a mother without having this very important knowledge that I have now? And that again is how I feel this week. Um, so last week I was sitting down in the playground with a mother from my son Yaakov's kindergarten. It turns out that this mother, she's an occupational therapist. And so we were kind of talking about things. And she was telling me something that she does with her, that she teaches to her clients, that she does with her own children, that she finds extremely helpful. Um, and she said, and she was surprised at something that I've never thought of before. Basically, what she does is before she does something in which she's had difficulty gaining children's cooperation, then she sits down with them and she writes a list of their expectations and the expectations of what's going to happen. And this was very interesting to me. I think that I kind of expected, like, children know what to do. You take in different situations, like children should know what to do. But kind of she kind of implied that children really don't know what to do. We have to sit down with them and teach them what are the expectations. What does it mean to cooperate in any given situation? So I decided to try this out. I have an issue with Yaakov, with my 5-year-old. And whenever we have guests for Shabbat, and we often have guests for Shabbat, we often have lots of guests for Shabbat, then Yaakov, it's kind of like he makes like a performance of misbehaving. He will, like my husband's making Kiddush, and Yaakov is singing a song and yelling and jumping on the guests and pinching the guests and hitting the guests and making a scene. Okay, and so she suggested specifically about this to make a list. So we did that. Okay, so this past Thursday, I sat down with Yaakov. We sat down, and we made a list of all the things that Yaakov can do to lechnis orchim, to be hospitable. So I said to Yaakov, I started by saying, Yaakov, I said, it's very, very important to be hospitable. Avram Avinu, Abraham, our father, was very hospitable, and what an important thing to be hospitable. And you probably you want to be hospitable too. And so Yaakov said, I don't want to be hospitable like Avram Avinu. I want to be hospitable like Moshe Rabbeinu, like Moses from the Bible. I want to be, I think in his mind, because I said, oh, Moshe Rabbeinu was hospitable. He said Moshe Rabbeinu was the biggest tzaddik ever. Clearly, he was the most hospitable person in all of history. I'm not sure whether that's 100% accurate, but so what I did is we made like a little list. It's called being hospitable like Moshe Rabbeinu. The first thing that Yaakov suggested was a nice way to be hospitable is he worked very, very hard making a sukkah out of a cardboard box, and he collected leaves and put them on top. So the first thing he wants to do is show them his sukkah. The second thing was say hello to the guests, say shalom to the guests when they come in. The third thing is if the guest is sitting on the sofa, don't jump on the sofa next to the guests, or even, goes without saying, don't jump on the guests who are sitting on the sofa or anywhere for that matter. Don't pinch the guests, don't hit the guests, speak nicely to them. Act towards them, this is a good one, act towards them like I would want to be treated if I was a guest. So I said to Yaakov, I said, if we went to such and such a family and we were guests, think how would you like it how would you like if they did to you what you did to the guests, okay? So the amazing thing was that so we tried it this past Friday night. We had, as I told you, the wonderful students from Nishmat's Mayan program, the Ethiopian program at Nishmat, and Yoel, and Yaakov did a very nice job. And so I had told him that after he does this, then I will take him to the toy store, and he can buy something for $5 at the toy store. And really, he did it nicely. The interesting thing is, I think like 2 weeks ago, we had a large group. And I made him the same offer. I said, if you act nicely, then you can go and buy something for $5 at the toy store. And he really, and he was better, but really he still did a lot of things. He still acted quite wild at that Shabbat. And I think it was interesting just for me to learn. I guess it took me 20 years to learn this, that things that seem obvious to us aren't necessarily obvious to our children. What we consider proper behavior is not necessarily clear to them. So, so even though by me going step by step, like how do we behave nicely, it really gave him a clear sense of what he needs to do, to behave, and to be hospitable like Moshe Rabbeinu. This morning I took him to the doctor, and I decided to use the same thing. To make a list with him. We sat down before we went to the doctor's office. We sat down, and I said, let's think, how are we going to act nicely when we come to the doctor? So Yaakov suggested we will knock on the door before we come in. That's a good idea. I suggested that he will answer the doctor's questions. Whatever the doctor asks him, he will answer. And I also suggested that he will be quiet when Ima speaks with the doctor to hear what the doctor recommends. And the fourth thing, which was Yaakov's recommendation, was not to jump up and down in the chair. Okay, so while we were at the doctor this morning, Yaakov did knock on the door. He did answer the doctor's questions quite nicely. He definitely was not quiet when Ima was speaking with the doctor, and he did do a lot of jumping and even cartwheeling in the office. So afterwards, I said to Yaakov, in our family, any child who goes to the dentist or doctor, afterwards they always get a treat. So when we were leaving, then Yaakov said, he said, and now I get my treat. And I said, Yaakov, how do you think you did? Do you think you did very, very good? He said, I think I did so. I did Benoni. I did so. I did pretty well. And it was interesting for me, even though he didn't do it, it gave him making the list made him aware of how he behaved. Even though he didn't 100% do it, he did quite well. But the list enables him to see, okay, to give him a sense of how he was. Okay, so in conclusion, Jewish moms, it's a very simple idea, that what you do with the children is before you do something with them, which requires their cooperation, which is so often the case in our lives. And if there's something that you're having difficulty getting your child's cooperation in something, what you do is you just sit down, you make a list of expectations, make a list with them, so you go through it together. And if they do fulfill all the expectations, then they get a reward. They can get a reward, the occupational therapist suggested every single time, or it could be if it's a daily thing, it could be something that then they get a prize like once every week, once every month, even maybe for older children. And so I hope this helps you as much as it helped me this past Shabbat. I want to bless all of you Jewish moms with an amazing week and an amazing Rosh Chodesh Adar. Amazing. Talk to you.